So let's talk about the big news, David Price signing with the Red Sox. We elaborate a little more, Jack, by saying that we thought this might happen next week, but it didn't.
It didn't, Bob. The Red Sox moved quickly. We all knew that the Red Sox had to go out there and sign an ace pitcher. Dave Dombrowski saying, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to go out there and get the guy that I think is the top of the market guy. And it's a change in philosophy for the Red Sox, who last year thought they were smart enough to go without an ace. But it was proven that you can't survive without an ace. So I think in the short term, it's a smart move for the Red Sox. They solve a problem. I wonder over the course of this 7-year contract, though, what's going to happen, because teams that sign players to these length of contracts, free agent pitchers, they're usually not happy.
Yeah, 7 years with an opt-out for the player after 3, though, Ken, so that might help David Price.
It might help David Price, and it reminds me of CC Sabathia, who had an opt-out after 3 with the Yankees and kind of used that as leverage to get an extension. You know what else reminds me about CC Sabathia here? I don't think CC Sabathia's first choice was the Yankees way back when, but I think the Yankees just overwhelmed with money. And I think, likewise, David Price's first choice was not the Boston Red Sox. But when there's that big a disparity, you feel like you don't have a choice.
Right, and you know, small picture now. You look at what the Red Sox have done. They had a three-pronged plan, basically, to fix what happened last year. They needed to get a closer, and they got him with Craig Kimbrell. They needed to get an ace, and they got him with David Price. And they wanted to get a guy like Chris Young to mash lefties and to help that pretty good-looking outfield out there. So they did that. Big picture, though, the opt-out's an interesting thing, because if he's still pitching well after 3 years, he'll probably opt out or demand an extension. The Red Sox then say, you know, do they walk away from the table? It's like a casino. It's tough to walk away when you're winning. You want to keep winning. You want to extend a good thing. Do they have the guts to, at that point, walk away from the table and say, we got 3 good years, see you later? It seems like most teams want to, you know, perpetuate that relationship. We saw it with the Yankees with Sabathia. We're seeing it now with the Dodgers in their effort to keep Zach Greinke. So, you know, 7 years is a big risk, but when you think about it as an 8 or 10-year commitment, it looks really scary.
Well, I think the thing that is most mind-boggling about this contract is the fact that we are suddenly in an age where teams are paying $1 million per start. That's what David Price will be making this year, $1 million per start. It's unbelievable. But it also goes to show exactly how much money baseball, the teams are making, how much revenue is coming in from everywhere, from the national TV contracts, from the local TV contracts, from BAM, the media giant that's sending all the revenues from that part of Major League Baseball. So all of this revenue is coming in, and so that was one of the reasons why the Red Sox can do something which seemingly is crazy, but you know. They don't bat an eye about it.
Yeah, and when a player like this comes off the board, you think, well, it must tilt the balance of power, let's say, within the division. But again, Kenny, he can only impact 35 games a year.
Yeah, I just want to point out that Billy Joel gets $1 million per concert. So I think it's a fair deal myself. Yeah, very interesting. Look, the American League East, to me, is very glommed together. It was opening day last year, and I think it probably will be opening day this year. I think there's a chance the Orioles are the clear last-place team. But, yeah, look, this makes the Red Sox better, but they've been such a mess jumping from year to year, as we've discussed, and I'm not sure this works out as well as they hope.
You know what? You talk about the $1 million a start thing, and when Bill says that, there is some sticker shock to that, but we have to remind ourselves that there's an owner who thinks that David Price is worth $1 million a start. There's an owner who believes David Price is going to help my team potentially win a World Series and make a lot more money. So I do think that we sort of have to get past that. There is so much money out there that teams are going to go and get the best players. They're going to give them that money because they want to make more money.
The one dumb owner, as I like to call them, because there's always that one dumb owner that will pay what everybody else thinks is unbelievably outrageous, because they feel I have to get the player. And the Red Sox knew that they were going to have to do this to get Price, as Kenny pointed out before. David Price made it pretty clear he didn't want to stay in the American League, and he definitely didn't want to go to Boston. So they did what they had to do.
Yeah, and you say dumb owner, and I agree to some extent, but I would rather use the word desperate owner in that sense. That's why Robinson Cano is got 10 years from Seattle. It didn't make sense, but Seattle was desperate. They'd lost half their fans. We went over this. You know, that's why he's there, and that's why Price is in Boston, because he's the best pitcher out there. And they are really desperate, as Jack said, because the lack of an ace was so glaring last year. Now, you can dream on a guy like Price, and you can rationalize the reasons why it might work out. I mean, he's showing an evolving pitch mix while still keeping the velocity of his fastball where it's always been, right around 94. Give or take a tick or two, but basically he's been 94 average his whole career. He's thrown more changeups last year, so he's really learning how to pitch. He's a smart guy. He's very accountable. He's a leader. In that sense, he's a lot like Sabathia, where he's the rare pitcher who pitches 35 times a year but can still be a leader for the whole clubhouse. Price is that. He's a great teammate, and you seem like he might age well, and he's never been hurt. But all that said, he is still 30, and it's a 7-year contract, so there's always risk. But there are reasons that you can think that he might be that rare exception.